Alrighty. Ready for the longest review of the year? Because we are going to look at all of the game that happened in the middle of the week. And the reason why I'm doing this long review is originally I wasn't able to do it on Thursday and split it to two parts because, it took me a long time to set up my new internet that I had from yesterday. But alas, today we're going to do this mega review. This is probably going to be a very long video, which is why it's important for you guys to know that in the description below there is timestamps. So you don't obviously don't have to watch this whole video. Obviously, if you want to be my guest, you can even listen to this in your car or listen to it wherever, like it's a podcast whatsoever. But in case if you don't want me to talk through the whole review or listen to the whole review, you want to just hear your favorite team of what I thought about your game. There's always timestamp in the description below in terms of these 14 games that I'm about to go through. And I gotta say, one thing I want to mention in terms of the midweek games, chaos was definitely a theme in terms of the midweek games. There were a lot of unpredictable resort, a lot of resort that I definitely did not see coming, and it seems like the road team were the team that were the better side, at least in the later stage of the game, because those late night game, pretty much no home team were able to get a win in terms of those late West Coast games. But with that rambling all aside, let us begin this mega review, and we start off with the first game, which is the Philadelphia Union versus Montreal. So, as I mentioned before, this is a battle between first versus last in the Eastern Conference, and normally when you have a first versus last kind of matchup, you'll be surprised that it might be closer than what you think it could be. Like a lot of people think it's a lopsided kind of matchup. They expect the top team to always get the win, and for the most part, the top team usually does get the win over a bottom feeder. But I gotta say, Montreal, they definitely give Philly something to fight in this one, and I thought they played very well in a way where they were just a little bit better in terms of their finishing. This could have been a different result. Now, in the first half, Herberts would put it wide from long range in the 6th minute as Montreal. I thought they started well in this game. Reza would then deny no on the back heel before the shots were 5-3 for the Union early in this one. Blake would then deny Craig, but gave up a rebound there, and he was very fortunate that he was not punished. Not very often you see Andre Blake give up a juicy rebound there. He's usually one of the best stop shopper in this league. Shunchek would then puts it over from close range. We then go for a period where not much really happened, but then in the 38th minute, the Union takes the lead as Ty Baribo would score to make it 1-0 in favor of the Union, and that was just such a Union goal. The Union this season, this is a team that likes to fry through the chaos, and there was some chaos in the box there. Montreal never clears it, and there was Baribo take advantage of that and make it 1-0. That lead lasted about 8 minutes because in the second minute of stoppage time, Prince Owusu he scored from Waterman to tie the game up at one apiece. So Prince Owusu quietly having a very, very good season with Montreal. I'm pretty sure Toronto probably a little bit regrettable letting him go, especially the form that Owusu has been this season. But yeah, I mean, there was no marking whatsoever for him. I mean, you would think the Union would mark probably the most dangerous goal scorer for this Montreal team in the box closely, but yeah, they didn't get the memo there. They were punished, and just like that, it's tied up at one apiece, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, Diamani would put it wide from close before Breza denied Sullivan from long range. The Union definitely started well in the second half as they were pressed to get the lead back, and they do. As in the 50th minute, Mike Hanya would score from Wagner to make it 2-1 in favor of the Union. Yeah, not great set piece defending from Montreal part. Montreal has had their issue defensively, especially on the set piece, and there's an example of that. Diamani then hits one right to Siwas in the 56th minute before Owusu just missed wide as he was in on goal there. So yeah, that is one that you usually don't see Prince Owusu miss, especially of how hot he's been lately. Sealy then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. Good response for Montreal. Again, you thought that the Union were gonna run away with this game. Fake again because Montreal definitely shows some grit, and this is kind of the theme that we've seen with some teams near the bottom of the standings, where if you think that some of these teams doesn't have a lot to play for, you'll be wrong because a lot of these guys they're fighting for their jobs, especially heading into the next season. Even though we know Montreal is probably not going to make the playoffs, this is a team that are still show some grit in some of these games that they play. In fact, between them and Toronto, they both of these Canadian teams have really showed some grit in some of these games, despite not having the talent and the quality to really get the resort. But in the 75th minute, Uru would heads it wide from close range before the post would deny Owusu from close in the 77th minute. Blake then denied Alvarez on the header. Montreal continued to press to try to get this equalizer. You just kind of have a feeling the Union not only was on the ropes a bit, but yeah, like I said, they were not expecting Montreal to put a lot of resistance, but here we go. Montreal continued to put the pressure. Blake would then deny Owusu as his shot. He actually shoot this one while he was on the ground. I have no idea how he was able to get this one off a shot. He was basically sitting on the ground and somehow just kind of got enough power on the volley there to force a save from Andre Blake. But nevertheless, despite the pressure that Montreal has, Philly survived, and a lot of that is because Andre Blake kind of maybe stole this one a little bit because, like I said, Montreal was putting a lot of pressure in this one. The shots in this one, 14 shots for the 12 that Montreal has. Both team had 4 shots on goal. Both team had 3 shots off target. 7 shots that was blocked for the 3 that Montreal has. And possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Montreal has in this game. Not a pretty result in terms of how they win this game, at least in a Union perspective. Actually, let me rephrase that. I would say it's not the most prettiest win that the Union has in this one, but they don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points. It remains at the top of the Eastern Conference through this win. And like I said, for Montreal, there's no shame in terms of losing this one. I mean, for the rest of the season, it's all about playing tough and trying to maybe act as a little spoiler role. And they played very well in this one, and something that Darnell would be definitely very proud of his boys in terms of really giving the top team in the Eastern Conference all they can handle in this game. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Red Bulls and New England. So, New England had a 2-0 lead in this one, and it looked like things were going well for them. And then the second half happened. Yeah, the second half was a complete meltdown for the New England Revolution. Now, in the first half, Campana would put it wide from long range, as that was the game's first shot, before the first shot for the Red Bulls sees Forsberg puts it high from long range. But then the 5th minute of this game, Campana would score. So he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of New England, and Campana would have a career night in this one as well, though in kind of a very sad way. I don't think it's been a while since I've seen a guy score a hat trick in a game, and yet they're still end up on the losing end, and that just kind of sums up what happened, as we'll talk about in the second half, where that Revs defense just completely collapsed in the second half. Sofo would then look to answer, but he hits it right to Ivicic before he curls it high from long range in the 12th minute. It's been a very open game. Both of these teams were definitely exchanging some chances, and that was kind of not what you expected, because in a Red Bulls game, I usually don't see games get that entertaining, at least in the beginning. Choupo-Moting would then miss wide from close before Langoni hits it right to Cornell in the 20th minute. Campana looked like he scored his second goal of the game, but the goal was disallowed for offside. So yeah, moving on. In the next game is the Red Bulls and New England. So New England had a 2-0 lead in this one heading into the second half. And then it was an epic meltdown for the New England Revolution, or you could say it's an epic comeback for the Red Bulls in what turns out to be a very thrilling game. Now, in the first half, Campana would put it wide from long range, as that was the game's first shot, before the first shot for the Red Bulls sees Forsberg puts it high from long range. But then in the 5th minute, Campana would score. So he scored to make it 1-0 in favor of New England. Sofo did look to answer, but he hits it right to Ivicic before he curls it high from long range. As I thought it was a very open game in the beginning. Both of these teams were definitely exchanging some chances. Choupo-Moting would then miss wide from close before Langoni would hit it right to Cornell in the 20th minute. Throughout this game, it was actually a really entertaining game, and I definitely did not expect that. Especially Red Bulls games sometimes tends to not be very exciting, especially New England games that tends to also not be exciting. I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. Didn't think we were going to get 8 goals in this one, and I also didn't think we were going to be seeing the second goal in the 21st minute when Campana puts it into the back of net. But they did go to VAR to see whether or not if there was a handball in the box that was committed. It was, so the goal, of course, was chopped off, and I thought the Red Bulls got away with one there because not great set piece defending, not great corner defending, especially leaving Campana with some space to pounce on it, but got left off the hook because there was a handball offense that was committed in the box. But nevertheless, just a couple of minutes later, New England does get that second goal, and it's a fortunate one too because Duncan would score the own goal here for New England, and that this was one that fine goal actually hits the post here, but it actually deflect off of Duncan. He knew nothing about this one. This was a very unfortunate own goal there that just kind of bounced off of the defender and goes in there. But nevertheless, New England wouldn't care. I mean, they haven't scored a lot of goals this season, so they'll take any luck that they'll get. And just like that, it's 2-0 in favor of the Revs. Campana did try to make it 3-0. He tried to chip the goalkeeper from the halfway line, but that one hits over the bar. I thought the Red Bulls looked Rado. And now they got to be careful because, yeah, the refs were definitely feeling it up to this point, and certainly Leo Campana was feeling it in this one. But in the 35th minute, Carmona would look to get one back, but it was deflected right to Ivicic as the Red Bulls started to get back into this game and trying to get one back. Frostberg would then puts it high from close before Duncourt would puts it high from long range. The shots were 11-7 in favor of the Red Bulls. There was a lot of shots in the first half. Not a lot of defense that was played at least in this one. But despite the fact that the Red Bulls had 11 shots in this one, only one of them was on target. It was a very frustrating first half where the Red Bulls not only were not showing their clinical finishing, but they weren't even put shots on target. That would change as we head to the second half with the Revs leading 2-0 because just 10 minutes in, they would cut the deficit in half as Daniel Edelman would score his first goal in 2 years from Duncourt to make it 2-1 in favor of the Revs. It took a deflection and goes in there. Duncan did tried to make amends of his own goal on the volley, but he goes wide from long range, and you can sense the momentum was with the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls really played the second half the much stronger team. New England, it just feels like they were kind of maybe hoping that they could just bunker in the entire second half and walk away with the win. And how many times when road teams decide to do that, yeah, it doesn't work out well for them because in the 71st minute, the Red Bulls does tie the game up as Choupo-Moting was scored from Frostberg to tie the game up at 2 apiece. And before I had even had a chance to talk about the Red Bulls now have even more momentum after they tied, they would take the lead. As just 1 minute after they tied, Emil Forsberg would score from Yenger to make it 3-2 in favor of the Red Bulls. The comeback is not only complete, but just an absolute meltdown from New England perspective. Just yeah, absolutely inexcusable to give up 2 goals in quick succession to find yourself at up 1 point, and now just 60 seconds later they found themselves down 3-2. Hugh did look to answer on the free kick, but he was actually spilled by Cornell and goes behind for a corner. So a little fortunate there from Carlos Cornell there. If you spilled a shot, that could have definitely gone either way. Choupo-Moting then looked for his second in the Red Bulls fourth, but he hits it right to Ivicic. But eventually he would get his second not long after as he scored here from Duncourt to make it 4-2 in favor of the Red Bulls. And then a penalty was given to the Red Bulls as we see Hughes here bringing down Hall in the box. So here comes Emil Frostberg, a chance to bear the penalty to make it 5-2. You know he doesn't miss from the spot often, and he doesn't here as he buries it to make it 5-2 in this one. Campana did get a consolation goal late in this game to make it 5-3 in this game, but yeah, it was just a consolation goal there. I mean, it is good news if you're a New England Revolution fan seeing Campana scoring. Consider that he has got to be the guy that really need to step up in terms of the goal scoring department. But nevertheless, it doesn't really help the fact that the defense were not playing very well in this one. I mean, this is probably the worst defensive display that New England has put all season long. This season, they haven't come close to giving up 5 goals, let alone, I don't think they've given up like 4 at any point this season. But yeah, they lose 5-3 in this one. The shots in this one, 21 shots for the 13 that the Revs had, 9 shots on goal for the 7 that New England has, 4 shots off target for the 6 that the Red Bulls had, 5 shots that was blocked for the 1 that New England has, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that New England has in this one. And I want to mention, the seats are getting hotter now for Caleb Porter. As I said before, I would not be surprised he might be the next one to go consider this tailspin that this New England team has been on for the past couple of months. It's almost like it feels like this is very similar to last season. Where remember last season around June they had a good run of form and then they just completely collapse after that. It feels like it's kind of the same thing again for this New England Revolution side. Now moving on in terms of the next match is Cincinnati and and Miami. And I gotta say, if there's just something about Cincinnati when they play against Miami, they're definitely up for it. And in this game, they kind of proved that that 6-1 beatdown against Inter Miami last year, even without Messi, was not a fluke because they followed that by playing against Messi and friends and put up a 3-0 performance against Inter Miami. And most importantly, this was a much needed win for Cincinnati because after the disaster that they had in the Hellsville Derby, blowing a 2-0 lead in this one. You know, it was very interesting to see what the response is for Cincinnati, especially facing against a red hot Inter Miami team. Safe to say that response was in a big fanatic big way. But in the first half, the first shot of the game did see it was started to 9 Kamara just 78 seconds in, and just like Saturday, you know, Cincinnati they really shot out of the rock and go straight away to try to get the opening goal, almost score for the second consecutive game inside the first 2 minutes of the game. But in the 13th minute, Evander would hit it right to Ustari. Cincinnati definitely had most of the possession, which again, that is something that is not expected. Miami really started slow in this one. This was something that I definitely don't expect with Miami. Miami always tends to start off well and dictate the possession, but Cincinnati say, nope, we're not gonna play your game. We're gonna play our game, and we're gonna be the team that will have the possession, and we're gonna be the team that will be the protagonist at home. And it worked because in the 16th minute, they would take the lead as Dado Valenzuela would score from Orellano and Kamara to make it 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati. That was beautiful soccer from the Cincinnati perspective. Just a vintage Cincy attack, vintage Pat Nolan kind of soccer that we seen there, and just like that, they deserve this 1-0 lead. And then things gets worse for Miami as Oscar Ustari had to be subbed off with a knee injury there, so Rios Novos replace him there. Ustari has had injury concern for the past couple of months. It feels like he's kind of been playing with an injury lately, and here it kind of finally give way, and now Rios Novos steps into this one. We then go for a period where not much really happened as Cincinnati continued to dominate the possession, and the shots were still 5-0 in favor of Cincinnati. Again, you would expect this Miami team eventually they're gonna wake up, right? Well, they finally did in the 40th minute as the first shot for Miami finally came. Alande had a shot that was blocked away. That is probably the longest we have gone to start the game that Miami did not had a shot in a game with Messi and friends. But speaking of Messi, he had a shot that was deflected and goes wide in the 44th minute as Miami finally woke up into this game and was pushing for the opener. And this is where if you're Cincinnati, not taking those chances when you're the more dominant side, yeah, is that going to come back to haunt them? Salentano would then deny Messi from close, but we do head to halftime with Cincinnati leading 1-0. In the second half, I'm pretty sure Pat Nolan's told his guys that, yeah, they cannot drop the intensity like they did in the last 5 minutes. And his guys definitely heard that message because 4 minutes into the second half, they would make it 2-0. As Evander, he scored from Buka to make it 2-0 in favor of Cincinnati. It's safe to say that Evander is making his case once again for MVP. I mean, we knew how good he was last year with the Portland Timbers. I'm pretty sure for Cincinnati, they hope that he can continue this kind of form and not just completely disappear from the face of the earth in the last month of the season. But yeah, right now Evander is just playing MVP level soccer and definitely should be in that the discussion with the way how he's been playing recently. Suarez did look to answer, but he puts it wide there before he puts it high after Salentano had a weak punch there that goes right into the path of Suarez there. So yeah, very lucky there from or not Oscar, sorry, I'm sorry, Roman Salentano. No, there that is because yeah, when you make mistakes against Inter Miami, more times than not, you are going to be punished. Messi would then just curls it just wide from long range as Miami started to ramp up the pressure again. And remember, Cincinnati, this is the same spot they found themselves in just on Saturday in the Hellsville Derby, a 2-0 lead, and I'm pretty sure they don't want PTSD reminder of what happened on Saturday in the Hellsville Derby. And apparently, Evander kind of realized that because in the 71st minute, he would make it 3-0. So he scored here, and really, this wasn't just a gift here, and this is where not having Ustari was big in this one when he subbed off because Rios Novos, no disrespect to him, but he's not a starting caliber goalkeeper here. I mean, he just he did made the save here, but just allow a juicy rebound that you just cannot do that, especially the quality that Cincinnati has had. And Evander says, "Thank you very much. I'm gonna bury it on the second attempt," and just like that, it's 3-0 in favor of Cincinnati, and maybe some breathing deep breath for Cincinnati fans. Though I will say this, just because the score is 3-0, as we'll talk about a little bit later in this mega review, a 3-0 lead usually doesn't mean it's the safest lead, especially what happened this season. Messi did look to answer, but he hits it right to Salentano before Wagon puts it wide from close range. And really, as we head into the last couple of minutes, I think that's when Cincinnati fans kind of maybe took a little deep breath here, knowing that, yeah, it's probably maybe even with the quality that Miami have shown before, they probably won't come back from a 3-0 deficit, and it did happen. As in the end, what a statement win was that is for Cincinnati, and what a bounce back win it is for Cincinnati as well. They needed this one badly after the epic meltdown that they had against Columbus in the Hellsville Derby. But the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 10 that Miami has, 2 shots on goal compared to 7 that Cincinnati has, 4 shots off target compared to 5 that Miami has, 3 shots on block compared to none that Cincinnati has, and possession wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that Cincinnati has. in this one. A rare off night for Inter Miami. This was one of those games where you just sense that they just didn't look like themselves, and that can happen. I mean, as we said before, even the best team in the world will have an off night, and Miami just kind of had an off night in this one, but Cincinnati capitalized it in a big way, and now they just better hope that it's not like what happened last season when they got a big victory against Inter Miami, where that was kind of the peak, and they went down and down and down after that. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Charlotte and DC. So Charlotte is starting to show some life, and this is not a big surprise considering they are kind of in the easier part of the schedule, especially finally get a chance to play at home, which is they've been dying to try to do that. Consider how bad their road form has been, but it wasn't really easy in this one either. DC definitely showed some fight in this game, and again, this is the thing about teams that is near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Some of these teams they might be near the bottom of the standings, and they might have their season pretty much almost coming to the end and have no shots to make the playoffs. But they're definitely going to play the sport Leroy, and they're definitely not going to give up very easily. But in the first half, Barraza would deny Westwood, but this one actually goes right to Diane. I don't know if he knew a lot about this one. Well, actually, he did. He had a header that was actually tipped over by Barraza there, so that was a big save there from Barraza. Barraza had a really good game in this one as well. Both of the goals he conceded, I don't really think it's on him. Marshall Ruddy then curls it wide from long range. Charlotte was definitely on the front foot early. They were pressing for the opening goal. Tukamani then hits it right to Barraza before the first shot for DC saw Peltola puts it high from long range. Abada then puts it over from long range in the 27th minute. We then go for a period where not much really happened as DC, you just kind of feel like they have survived the early pressure that Charlotte put. Charlotte was putting a lot of pressure early in this one, but that was kind of false hope because in the 44th minute, Epiel would score. So he scored to make it 1-0 in favor of Charlotte. No surprise that is the case. He's been the most lethal goal scorer and creator for this Charlotte team. And yeah, he scored again here, and that would be the halftime score with Charlotte leading 1-0. In the second half, he tried to score his second goal of the game, but this time he hits it right to Peraza. But then 2 minutes later, he would score his second goal of the game in the second for Charlotte, as he scored for Marco Ruddy and Zaha to make it 2-0 in favor of Charlotte. Baji then looked to respond, but he puts this one over before Zaha had a shot that was deflected and goes wide in the 54th minute. I think the game really started to open up a bit. It started to become a bit end to end, which usually that doesn't favor the team that is leading. Especially that's kind of not the type of game that Charlotte usually played. Barraza then denied Bio and his Hattie in the 56th minute, but then in the 60th minute, Briani gets one back. So he scored from Rando Leao to make it 2-1 in this one, and then Leao himself looked to try to tie this one up, but he puts this one wide in the 65th minute. The momentum was definitely with DC. They were looking to try to tie it up, and this is the thing about Charlotte. This season, we have seen this story before where just because they find themselves in a comfortable lead, yeah, they've had their trouble in terms of closing things down and had their moments this season where they have blow leads by that, especially multi goal lead that is. Barraza would then deny Tokomandi on with an outstretched attempt there in the 74th minute before Bronico would put it wide from long range in the 86th minute. Charlotte definitely were looking to try to kill this game off, but the question is, can they do so? Because up to this point, I mean, yes, Pepiel does score those two goals, but they were still kind of lacking their finishing for the most part, and not to mention Barraza has been pretty good throughout this game as well. Leao then puts it high from long range before Cambridge misses an absolute sitter in the front post. Yeah, that is one that Brandon Cambridge would like to have back. Luckily for Charlotte, it doesn't come back to haunt them because in the end, they do get the 2-1 win in this one. The shots in this one, 17 shots for the 10 that DC had, 1 shot on goal for the 8 that Charlotte had, 6 shots off target for the 4 that Charlotte has, 4 shots that was blocked for the 3 that DC had, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to the 42% possession that DC has in this game. So not really a spectacular performance by Charlotte, and they are still a little shaky when it comes to trying to close things down. But honestly, at a point when you look at how their season went, when they go on that tailspin kind of time, and now getting back win, I'm pretty sure Dean Smith wouldn't care. I mean, he'll be happy that they got back wins. They have now got themselves back on track and trying to get themselves above the red line. I believe they're actually now back above the red line as well. But nevertheless, it's a good win for them and for DC. Again, like I said, with a lot of these bad Eastern Conference teams, at least they show some fight in this one. But they definitely still have a lot of problem, and I don't know if the new head coach that they got in Rene Weller is going to really solve their issue straight away this season. But with that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the next four game and the first of four times I'm going to change the board because I'm going to have to not only do the review of both the board, but I have to erase both the board because I still have six games to review. So yeah, this is the first of four time that we're going to be changing the board, and now look at the next four game to continue this mega long review of the 14 games that happened in the middle of the week. So next up, we got Atlanta versus the Chicago Fire, and this game felt like it was peak Atlanta and peak Chicago at the same time because yeah, for Atlanta they always have known for their incredible late game dramatics. I mean, it's pretty much there's always a saying that it's not an Atlanta United game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium without a late goal that is being scored either by them or by their opponent. And for the Fire, yeah, this feels like we saw a very certified Fire moment happen again. Now, early on, 1 minute into the game, Guzan denied Zikanago after 30 seconds into this game, but then on the ensuing corner, Zikanago would score. So he scored here, and he actually scored an Olympico goal here. I mean, it is still an Olympico goal because he basically scored from the corner, but yeah, that is one that Guzan, he's not going to be proud of himself. And he was actually wearing a mask here. I think he had some face surgery done to him, so he was wearing a mask. I don't think he was used to doing it because I don't know what happened here. He just completely missed this one there. I mean, I think maybe Gutman kind of acted as a distraction because it looks like Gutman was kind of ready to tap it in, but nevertheless, I mean, that is one that Guzan. We talk about Guzan making some incredible save before, but then there's times when we see Guzan look like he's completely washed, and I think that's is a moment kind of toward the wash media. They're there for Brad Guzan because that is one that he knows that he's got to do better. But nevertheless, Chicago wouldn't care. They were leading 1-0 up to this point. Bamba did look for another, but he was denied by Guzan, as I thought the Fire started well and pushed for another. The first shot of the game for Atlanta did see Brady denied Amador on the free kick before Davila missed wide from long range in the 15th minute, and in the 20th minute, Latte Laugh would puts it wide from close because Latte Laugh still cannot score from open play. He's still snake in from open play despite finally scoring the goal not recently from the spot. But it was a lively start. In the first 20 minutes, both of these teams were definitely exchanging some chances. Rogers would then heads it over from the corner before Amador missed wide from long range in the 27th. Ziganago then flashed one wide from long range in the 43rd minute, but we do head to halftime with the Fire leading 1-0. In the second half, Schleetwood hits one right to Brady before Guzan denied Kuiper off of a lightning counterattack from the Chicago Fire, but then the 56th minute, Atlanta would tie the game up, and this is a rare moment we see Moranchek actually gets on the score sheet. This is something that Atlanta fans want to see more often this season, alongside with Latte Lat finally getting that shackle off of him in terms of scoring goals from open play. But this is still encouraging to see one of their 50 million attacker finally break his goal drought as he scored from Almiron and Schlicht to tie the game up at one apiece. I mean, this also could have been a what if. The fact that what if Moranchek and Almiron would have a great partnership. In fact, what if Almiron and Latte Laugh would have a great partnership? That was kind of what a lot of Atlanta fans were envisioned that the season was how it played out. And yeah, it's safe to say that has been further from the truth. Zikanago did look to answer not long after, but he was denied by Guzan before Gutman would hit it right to Guzan in the 58th minute. As I thought the Fire responded well. They were now pushing to try to get the lead back. Kuipers would then hit one right to Guzan before Tiare puts it wide from close in the 76th minute. But in the 79th minute, Chicago does get the lead back as Haile Selassie, he scored from Gutman and Zikanago to make it 2-1 in favor of the Fire. Zikanago trying to make it 3-1, but he was once again denied by Guzan here. So despite the fact that Guzan did give up that soft goal that turns out to be Olympico for Zikanago, he was pretty good throughout most of the game and what was kind of one of the reasons why he kept Atlanta in this one as much as possible. But there was no doubt the Fire was looking to try to kill this game off. But if you know anything about the Chicago Fire, yeah, they would always find ways to break their fans' heart. And they once again broke their fans' heart in the 4th minute of stoppage time as Will Riley would score his first career MLS goal. So what a moment for the young homegrown there to score your first career MLS goal, especially in stoppage time. But Iron Mean Rope, yeah, that's a certified Fire moment. Only the Chicago Fire can do that of them looking dominant throughout most of this game and give up a 94th minute equalizer to the opposition. As yeah, in the end, it ends in a 2-2 draw on this one. The shots in this one: 14 shots for the 10 that Atlanta has, 9 shots on goal for the 4 that Atlanta has, 4 shots off target for the 3 that the Fire has. Both teams had 2 shots on his block, and possession wise, 52% possession compared to 48% possession that the Chicago Fire has in this game. I really do not want to see it happen again. I mean, it just feels like it's happening again, and I'm pretty sure Fire fans know what I'm talking about. That it feels like they're having these kind of moments again, because this I mean, I've said before that this team is probably the most cursed team in MLS, and I'm not joking. I mean, this team, it just doesn't matter what kind of talent that they have. I've said many times, has been one of the best Fire team I've seen in recent memory, especially on the attacking end. But no matter what they do, and no matter what circumstances that they have, they just cannot shake off this narrative of somehow in some way find ways to draw points when they're on their way of getting a win. I mean, I mean, I'm pretty sure Fire fans are known for it, especially if you're a longtime Fire fans. This feels like on the pay meter, it's probably right around the four mark. But yeah, I just like, I always say that narrative eventually is going to come to an end, and we all obviously seen before old narrative finally came to an end before, and I'm really hoping that this old narrative of the Fire comes to an end, that finally they have a chance to make the playoffs. Because of all the teams that deserve to make the playoffs and finally have a chance to make the playoffs, I think the Chicago Fire is right at the top of the list. I really want this team to finally make it to the playoff, and I'm not a Fire fan. I mean, I just think that it's kind of sad to see that ever since I start this doing MLS video on this channel, the Chicago Fire is the last team I know that is not an expansion team recently that have not made it to the playoffs since that. And these kind of resort is kind of just once again shows the old Fire that we've seen of the old blowing resort that they should get win, and how much is this resort gonna cost them, especially they're in the midst of this playoff battle. Now, moving on in terms of the next match. Speaking of epic meltdown, so yeah, for Orlando, yeah, things are definitely not going well for Oscar Pereira side. And this again, just like Chicago, this was a game where Orlando kind of dominated this game. Looked like they were well on their way of getting the win, and then just an epic meltdown happened in the last couple of minutes of this game. And unlike Chicago, where I'm pretty sure Fire fans at least will be happy the fact that they got a point in this one. Orlando City fans, yeah, they won't have that same joy because they got nothing out of this game after the epic collapse that they had late in this one. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Ojeda miss wide from close before Freeze denied Montreal from close, as Orlando was definitely on the front foot and pressing early for the lead. Freeze then denied Montreal from close before Paslic missed wide from long range. It was all Orlando up to this point. Like, NYCFC was not in this game for the most part, but the problem is the scoreline was still 0, and the question is, can Orlando City finally find their clinical finishing that they've been missing so far this game? Well, Brekalo tried to change that, but he hits it wide from the corner. But then 1 minute later, they finally got their deserved lead, and it comes on an unlikely source. Robin Janssen, he's not a guy that is known to score goals, but he scored here from Brekalo and Ojeda to make it 1-0 in favor of Orlando, and it was not a header too. I mean, usually when center back score from a set piece, it's usually from a header, but here he just kind of chests this one down and hits it off the volley. I didn't know Robin Janssen has this skill. That feels like a very striker kind of finish rather than a center back putting the ball into the back end like that. But nevertheless, Orlando does get the deserved 1-0 lead. O'Neal did try to respond for NYCFC. In fact, a rare chance for NYCFC, but he missed that one high before Schlegel hits it right to Freeze in the 43rd minute. Pasalic then missed wide from long range as Orlando were looking to try to get another one before the break, but we do head to halftime with the Lions leading 1-0 over the Pigeons. Now in the second half, Ojeda would miss wide from close after just a brutal turnover there from Orlando City. And by the way, this is Augustine Ojeda that I'm talking about. There was two Ojeda in this game. Ojeda is a very common name in MLS. I swear we have at least 7 players in this league that has a last name that is Ojeda. But here we have Martin Ojeda in the 52nd minute, hits it right to Freeze here as Orlando kind of picked up where they left off and try to press for the second goal. Fernandez would then hits one right to Galese before Freeman would puts it high from close range. And then Alonso Martinez, which struck the post on the doorstep of goal. That kind of sums up his season. And in fact, that feels like it's a certified Alonso Martinez moment there. I mean, this season, he is probably the one of the most unlucky number 9 in this league, if not the most unluckiest number 9, because all the numbers point that he is underperforming his expected goals by a ton. And here we go again. How many times we've seen him striking the post and underperforming the expectancy goal. Though that being said, that feels like it's a big warning sign for Orlando City, because again, this is still 1-0. You need to get that second goal to really kill this game off, because as we've seen this week, there is some weirdness that could happen in games. There could be chaos that could happen in games as well. Angulo tried to get that second, but he flashed a wide from long range before Breklo missed wide from close range. Enrique then hits the signing from close in the 79th minute. And then in the 81st minute, Bakara would hit it right to Galese from long range. Both of these teams were starting to exchange some chances, but the question is, who can get that crucial second goal? And the answer is NYCFC. As in the 87th minute, Kyle Smith scores the own goal here to tie the game up, and cue the Benny Hill music here. I mean, just if you're Galese, you gotta feel bad for him. He absolutely robbed Perea here. From the corner, but Schlegel just, he all he had to do was just clear that one way, but Kyle Smith kind of got in the way. It blocked all of his own teammate and goes in, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't get more Benny Hill in terms of that. And then just a couple of minutes later, NYCFC would complete the comeback as Alonso Martinez. I talk about how he's been very unlucky this season. Well, for once, he actually showed a clinical finish here as he scored from Fernandez to make it 2-1 in favor of NYCFC. It also came off of a lightning counterattack as well, and also some very poor defending there from Orlando City, especially from Dagerden for Holson. I don't know why he decided to go for the sliding challenge and basically set Martinez in on goal there. But Freeman did try to at least tie the game up, but he hits it right to freeze. The boos were definitely raining down hard inside Inter and Cole Stadium. I mean, I don't blame Orlando City fans getting very frustrated by this. It's been a really poor run of form for Orlando City, to a point where, they're started to really drop down the standings, and it's such a shame that is the case, because on paper this should be a team that should be competing in the Eastern Conference. This team has really underperforming, and this game is just another example of the latest bad run of form of how to find ways to lose the game and snap the jars of victory away, and ends up to be a defeat. The shots in this one, 25 shots compared to 11 that NYCFC had. 7 shots on goal for the 4 that NYCFC had. 3 shots that was off target for the 9 that Orlando City has. 3 shots that was blocked for the 9 that Orlando City has. And possession-wise, 52% possession compared to 48% possession that Orlando City has in this one. And some might say that NYCFC got very lucky with this result, but I say that this is just part of the pattern. I mean, NYCFC did get a loss in the last game, so if you know the pattern as we've seen throughout the season, they will most likely win the next game. But that also means that if you're an NYCFC fan, you're kind of dreading the next game. That, yeah, because they won this one, that means we're probably going to either draw or lose our next game, because this has been the most inconsistent team in MLS. This has been one of the most confusing teams to figure out in MLS this year. But hey, I'm pretty sure NYCFC fans, they at least will enjoy this one, especially the comeback that they have. But for Orlando City fans, oh boy, I mean, this is kind of a resort where they're already in the midst of this bad run before, but these are kind of the resort that will continue this incredible bad run of form. And that we talk about disappointing team in MLS, like talk about Atlanta United being one of them, but you gotta say maybe there's a discussion that Orlando City belongs that category, even if they're still in the playoff hunt right now. On paper, when you look at the team that they have, this team should not be where they are, just near the I wouldn't say the bottom part of the standings, but kind of like in the bottom part of the playoff race, because of the bad run of form that this team has had. They gotta find some form, and I do believe that they can do so, because we've seen Oscar Herrera team tends to do well in the second half of the season. They need that in the second half of the season, because if that is not the case and this bad run of form continue, yeah, there will definitely be some discussion heading into the offseason. Not saying that maybe Oscar Pereira's job is in jeopardy, but there's definitely going to be some hard look in terms of the roster itself heading into this offseason. But that being said, moving on, in the next match is Nashville and Columbus. So what's kind of interesting, that in that Hell Israel derby, that Columbus of course get the big win, and Cincinnati get the huge loss. That it seems like both of these teams kind of had opposite resort after, because while Cincinnati did a good way to bounce back and got an emphatic win against Inter Miami at home, Unfortunately for Columbus, not so much luck in this resort. And again, we talked about before where after a big victory, especially an emotional victory that Columbus had in the Hell is Real Derby, it can work both ways. More times you might think that they would get carry that momentum in the next game, but we've seen before that more times that it actually is the opposite, where there could be a huge letdown heading into the next game and heading into this next game against Nashville. Yeah, you definitely don't want to have a letdown against Nashville SC. I mean, they have been very good this season. And despite the fact that Columbus actually had more of the chances this one, Nashville was just more clinical in this one. And it starts in the first half after just 1 minute into this game, really the second game in a row that Columbus have give up a goal in the opening minute. And this time it was actually their own player that scores the own goal as Zwatsky puts it into his own net to make it 1-0 in favor of Nashville. Officially, it actually should have been the second minute because this happened 61 second in, but just for the sake of me want to say that they conceded for the second straight game after just 1 minute. Yeah, it's pretty much just after 1 minute. They did it 30 seconds in against Cincinnati, and yeah, just like that, they found themselves 1-0 down. But again, if you know anything about the Columbus Crew, you should be panicking after that because they have the ability to come back with a resort. And if you're a Nashville fans, yes, great that they score after 1 minute, but they know deep down that this game is far from over. Willis would then deny Sadish from close before Maria had a shot that took a wicked deflection that goes wide. And really, I thought if this first 5 minutes is a prequel of what we're going to be seeing, buckle up, boys and girls, because this could get wow. It was a really crazy start to this game. For all that think that this game was going to be very tense and maybe a little tight for the first couple of minutes. Yeah, that was not the case. I mean, it was very open in this one. Zaswatsky with heads it wide from close, and also I'm not surprised that it's an open game because both of these head coaches love their team go on attacking style. They don't like to kind of bunker in. They want to go gung ho from minute one. Perez would then hits it right to Schulte. The shots were already 5-2 for Columbus up to this point. Obviously, that seems like a pretty big margin. But remember the two shots that Nashville of course had. One of them is not a shot because the own goal that of course they scored does not count as a shot. Russell Rowe would then hits it right to Willis before Surridge had a free header there, and he hits that one wide. I mean that is something that is very on Sam Surridge, especially with how good he's been in leading the Golden Boot race. That is one that he definitely would like to have back. Rossi would then blast one to Knoxville in the 24th minute, but then the 36th minute, Hani Mukhtar would score. He scored from Surridge and Nahan to make it 2-0 in favor of Nashville, and it's only fitting the fact that after Mukhtar and Surridge was included in the All-Star list, that you would see both of these guys ends up on the scoring charge here, and at least in this case, Mukhtar of course gets on the score sheet here, and just like that, it was 2-0 in favor of Nashville. It was also just champagne soccer from Nashville. I mean, giving Columbus a little taste of their own medicine in terms of how to play some beautiful brand of soccer. I said this before, and I'll say it again. The U.S. men's national team, they must be regretting not decided to hire BJ Callahan as the full-time head coach of the national team instead of Maurizio Pochettino, because what BJ Callahan has done and the philosophy that he's finally inputting in this national team is just second to none. This is just amazing soccer that he is playing, and he's going to be another guy that will be throwing a long list of coaches that have a really good season so far this year that might be up for coach of the year as well. But I also thought that Columbus was just getting absolutely killed on the transition. Every time when Nashville tried to go on the transition, Columbus had no answer in terms of dealing with. And that's kind of one of I would say, the weakness with Wolvernon's system, where, they do, of course, get exposed on the counterattack. They're a team that likes to have the possession and likes to push their line high up and likes to press. But if you decide to do that, you are going to leave yourself exposed in the break. And credit to Nashville and credit to BJ Callahan. He clearly saw that sign. They were hitting a lot of transitional moment, and Columbus was just on their heels whenever Nashville goes on the break on the other end. Arfson then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide, but we do head to halftime with Nashville leading 2-0 in this one. In the second half, Mule would then puts it wide from close range before there was a shout for a penalty for Nashville not given. I thought Nashville started promisingly. They were looking to try to get a third goal. Instead, Russell Rowe would puts it wide from long range, and then Mukhtar would fires it wide from long range in the 62nd minute. Rossi would then curls it high from close. I thought both of these teams would start to exchange some chances, but the question is, who can find that clinical third goal of the game. Willis then denied Arston from close before Russell Rowe puts it wide from close in the 69th minute as Columbus started to once again put some pressure and looking to try to get one back because that's the thing about Columbus. They're never out of the game, and especially if you're Nashville, you are mostly aware of what happened over the weekend when Cincinnati blew a 2-0 lead. So in many ways, they were kind of getting a little nervy that are they going to join that list as well. Russell Rowe would then miss wide from close range. The shots were 18-8 for Columbus up to this point. The shots on target though is still 3 apiece. So again, that as much as Columbus was really outshotting Nashville in this one, they weren't really putting a lot of the shots on target. It wasn't really trouble Willis too much. But there was also no doubt that Nashville was starting to sit in their typical low block and try to see this game out. And it turns out that they didn't even need to worry about that because just 1 minute after I wrote that, Sam Surridge would score. Because of course he would score in this big game. He scored from Quasim and Naha to make it 3-0 in favor of Nashville. Rossi did look to answer, but he was denied by Willis. But in the end, Nashville, big win that they got in this one, a 3-0 win. Never the less, but the shots in this one, 22 shots with a 10 that Nashville has. Both team had 4 shots on goal. So again, Columbus, they really outshot Nashville in this one. The problem is the shots on goal was exactly the same. And again, how many times I've said before, just because you put so many shots in a game and just because you completely outshot your opponent, you're not putting those shots on goal, and especially you're getting out shot on goal. More times than not, you're going to be on the losing end. 9 shots off target for the 4 that Nashville has. 2 shots that was blocked for the 8 that Columbus had, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Nashville has in this game. I believe this is the final meeting between both of these teams. I would really love to see this matchup in the playoffs. I mean, give me this matchup in the playoffs because I think it's going to be a very mouth-watering matchup between both of these teams. Especially both of these teams kind of almost played the same style with the possession soccer and also not afraid to be mostly on the front foot for most of the game. I want to see that kind of soccer because if that's kind of the case in the playoffs, that could be a very entertaining brand of soccer to watch. So yeah, let's just hope this is not the last meeting between both of these teams. Let's just hope maybe both of these teams will meet each other and this game alongside with the one that we saw earlier this season is just a little preview and a little snapshot of what could be a very tasty kind of matchup that we might see in the playoffs or even in the later rounds as well. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Minnesota and LAFC. So, first of all, I just want to say that I want to share my condolence for anyone that actually watched this that is not a Minnesota or LAFC fans because let's be honest, yeah, this was not one of the most entertaining match of this midweek. And for a midweek that has a lot of chaos, there wasn't really too much in terms of this game. Though I will say that this is a game that is another example of how the Loons once again got exposed when the other team decided to give them the ball. One of the biggest issue with Ramsey ball is the fact that when they're not giving the chances to go on the counterattack and when they are forced to have the ball and trying to break down a low block, they just don't do well in terms of they don't have the player to do so. And yet, LAFC actually gave Minnesota a lot of set piece in this one, and especially this team that is dubbed as the set piece kings of the world. This was just uncharacteristic of them, just not really doing very well at all in terms of set pieces, and I think as much as I am concerned the fact that this team weren't able to break down an LAFC low block. I'm just hoping this is just kind of an off day in terms of their set piece routine because set pieces just has been the friend for Minnesota in terms of this season and is the reason why they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference because yeah, they got a lot of set pieces in this one. They had like 10 corners in this one, which I feel like that's even low considering it feels like they had a corner every 5 minutes in this game against LAFC. But in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Bawanga had a free kick that was denied by Dane Sinclair as LAFC was definitely on the front foot. Minnesota kind of go with their usual sit back and counter, which is kind of the MO that they likes to do. And the shots were only 1-0, 15 minutes in. I told you this was not going to be an entertaining game. Dane Sinclair then denied Samoa call from long range in the 18th minute before Bawanga would put it into the side netting in the 19th minute. LAFC continued to press to try to get the opener. I felt the Loons, again, they kind of started to come out the game slow. I mean, there's one thing to, of course, sit back, but they weren't really getting the counter-attacking moment that I was hoping that they would do so. But in the 22nd minute, they did finally get their first shot of the game, but Lloris was able to deny Pereira from long range before Harvey would hit it right to Lloris in the 37th minute. The Loons did start to get into this game a little bit, but the shots were still free apiece 30 minutes in to this one. In the 38th minute, or 34 minutes in this game to be precise, on the 38th minute, Harvey would put it wide from long range, and then the 42nd minute, this is where we had a little controversy, and this is where I've heard a lot of Loons fans are not happy about this because the penalty was given after Romero brought down Ibovasi in the box. And what was so controversial about this is that they didn't really show a good replay of this. I think they only showed like one replay, and when I look at it, I mean, it was kind of really hard to see whether or not if indeed Romero did brought down Ibovasi. I think he probably did, and also knowing the fact that there's been a lot of questionable call in these midweek action, I don't really trust the fact that that actually was the right call in the end. And I also think that if they gone to VAR for this, I don't think they would have overturned because there was really not a good angle to determine whether or not if this should have been overturned, and definitely was not clear and obvious. So nevertheless, the penalty was given. I forgot to actually wrote that Bawanga steps up to take the penalty and he buries it. So that made it 1-0 in favor of LAFC. DeRozan looked to make it 2-0, but he hits it right to Dave Sinclair. The fans, they definitely were not appreciating in terms of the referee giving that penalty, because they remind the referee that he really suck after giving that penalty that goes against them as the halftime whistle was blown. But we do head to halftime with LAFC leading 1-0. In the second half, Minnesota continued to get more possession, but again, no way through against a really rigid LAFC defense. This is kind of exactly, I think what I expect a lot of head coach are going to do throughout the remaining of the season, where they're going to force Minnesota to have more of the possession, even though they don't want to do so. And I also thought that even the set pieces just seems like it was all for the Loons in this one. So as much as I am kind of frustrated that they once again can't break down a low block, I was even more frustrated at the fact that usually they're very good on set pieces. Usually they would create a dangerous chance on set pieces, but one of the reasons why they weren't doing well in set pieces in this game is that they weren't there to get to the first ball. Now, credit, LAFC did a really good job being there at first, and that's kind of the key in terms of set pieces and the golden rule when it comes to defending set pieces. You always want to get there first when the ball comes into the box. You have to be first. You cannot be second or getting out jumped by an attacker, because next thing when you do that, then yeah, that means that the attacking team will have a chance to score. And I thought for LAFC, they did a really good job in terms of getting first at every single set piece. It's almost like they were perfect in terms of getting their first in terms of pieces throughout this game. Gresso would then puts it high from long range in the 72nd minute before Ordas would look to put it away, but he was denied by Dane Sinclair. And then Bawanga was clean on goal here in the 87th minute, and then he was trying to chip Dane Sinclair, and he just completely missed it. I mean, that is one that, we've seen before when Denis Bawanga gets an open space like that. That's usually one that he would bury. And I mean, will that chance kind of come back to haunt LAFC? Because that is one that, yeah, we've seen before, especially these two games when teams don't kill opposition. Yeah, bad things does happen. And then just 2 minutes later, to my biggest shock, he was he was in on goal again, and this time he missed again. Now, to be fair, Dane Sinclair did make a great save here, robbing him, and Dane Sinclair is one of the best 1v1 goalkeeper in terms of denying their opposition. But here, Wonga present two big chances. And this is also something that I think maybe there is a low concern if you're an LAFC fan, that yes, Bawanga is scoring from the spot here, but he's not scoring from open plays. His finishing has been very bad in these last two games. It was the same case in the last game two against Colorado, where his finishing wasn't at the best. Obviously, they don't really need to worry about, because they still got the win. And here in this game, it's the same thing. Just two big opportunities, two chances that you always see Denis Bawanga puts it into the back of the net, and both times he did not do so. There was a huge shout for a penalty for Minnesota not given after that, before Janae would hit one that was deflected and goes high in the fourth minute stoppage time. But yeah, in the end, LAFC, they walk away with a 1-0 win in this game. Very frustrating night for the Loons in this game. The shots in this one, 11 shots for the 8 that LAFC had, but LAFC had more shots on goal. 6 shots on goal for the 3 that Minnesota has. 3 shots off target for the 1 that LAFC had. 1 shot that was blocked for the 3 that Minnesota has. And believe it or not, Minnesota actually had more possession. This might be the first time this season we have seen Minnesota has more possession over the other team. They had 55% possession compared to 45% possession that LAFC has in this game, but that feels like it's more of a punishment and more of just a thing that kind of work against Minnesota because again, this is a team that just doesn't like to have the ball. They're the lowest possession team in the league, and it's by design whatsoever. But that's going to be something that I think Aaron Ramsey's going to have to figure out. And that also is going to be something that I think in the transfer window that Minnesota will have to address. I mean, I know a lot of people will be talking about the midfield that needs to be addressed. And yes, I do think that they need a DP6 in my opinion. They kind of try to do so, but it hasn't really quite worked out last off season. They need to get a DP6 if they want to be a contender level. But I also think that they might need a true number 10 in this team. I know people say that Joaquin Pera is that number 10. He's more of an 8 that is. And by the way, I think he also had one of his worst games this season as well. He just wasn't really effective and wasn't himself like what we've seen throughout this year, but I do think that it would be nice if we actually have it who number 9, just like a Reynoso type of player. Because if you have a Reynoso type of player, you can definitely break down low block. But because this team doesn't have that kind of player, and when teams are trying to force them to give the ball and try to have ask them to break them down, yeah, this team does not have the ability to do so. Now, that being said, I am now going to switch boards, and actually, I'm going to erase all the material that I wrote on both of these boards and put up the last 6 games on both of the board. But nevertheless, I'll be right back in terms of writing down the notes for these last 6 games and conclude looking at the last 6 game of this mega review that I'm doing, looking at all the games from the midweek action. All right, so next up we got Houston versus the Vancouver Whitecaps, and boy, did the Whitecaps needed this one badly. I mean, it has been pretty rough for for Sorensen's side when you look at the form that they've been in for the past month or so. But in this game against a Dynamo team that, yeah, safe to say that they are not allowed to win at home for the majority part of this season because they lost again in this one. And it also doesn't help that they gave up a goal just 4 minutes into this game. As 4 minutes in, Emmanuel Sabi would make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. Bond actually make a great save here to rob the border there, but unfortunately just falls right into the path of Emmanuel Sabi. He buries it to make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. Rios then puts it wide, but it falls to Johnson, who was also denied by Bond. It was all Vancouver early in this one. They were pressing to try to get another. In fact, they probably should have got another as Rios was in on goal there, but he was absolutely robbed by Bond here. And yeah, safe to say that Rios is definitely completely statement. There's been a lot of frustration with Daniel Rios in the Whitecaps fan base about his lack of finishing, and I think that moment kind of sums up why that is the case because that absolutely should have been 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. Sabi then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. The Dynamo defense, it was basically non-existent for the first 20 minutes of this game, and probably was non-existent for the most part of this game because there was just way too many breakaway chances for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, the amount of times where the Whitecaps are in on goal early in this game was pretty alarming in terms of seeing how bad the defense was from the Dynamo. But the first shot for the Dynamo did happen in the 26th minute. It saw Ponce headset wide before Anali was in on goal there, but he missed wide in the 30th minute. So it feels like Houston kind of survived that original pressure against Vancouver. They did give up a goal during that point, but it could have been a lot worse considering all the breakaway chances that they were given, and now they were looking to try to get the equalizer. Ponce would then headset wide from close in the 40th minute, but then in the 42nd minute, Vancouver would make it 2-0. As Sebastian Berhalter, he scored from White to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. Kind of against a run of play a little bit because I thought Vancouver kind of started to lose control of the game a little bit after Houston woke up in this one, but nevertheless, they made it 2-0 up to this point. Sabi did look for another, but he missed one in the 4th minute of stoppage time, but we do head to halftime with Vancouver leading 2-0. In the second half, Berhalter would clip the post from the tight angle before Ocampo flashes wide from close range. It feels like the Whitecaps picked up where they left off. They were looking for a third, and they had a chance to do so because a penalty was given to the Whitecaps as Sabi was brought down by Andrade in the box. So here comes Brian White, a chance to make it 3-0 in this one. But he was denied by Bond from the spot. Now, fortunate for him is that it kind of fall right back to him. It was one of those penalty where the goalkeeper makes a save, but it falls right back to the attacker. In this case, it fall kindly back to Brian White. He slots into the empty net. I'm gonna feel bad for Jonathan Bond in this game because that's twice in this game he has made an incredible save. First on the shot from Laporta in the 4th minute, and now making a penalty only for it to fall right back to the attacker. But nevertheless, Vancouver wouldn't care. It was 3-0 up to this point. Wojciech did look for one back, but he flashed one wide on the volley before Bartlow had a header that was deflected and goes wide. McGlynn would then hits one right to Takolka. Houston started to push to try to get this one to 3-1 because remember, a 3-0 lead is a lead that not it's not necessarily be very safe, as we'll talk about in this game that of course is the case. And I think the Whitecaps kind of started took the foot off the gas. So as I said that, for the next couple of minutes, there wasn't really not much chance for either of these teams. Both of these teams maybe just kind of playing out the strain. Nelson did win on beast mode there, but he hits the signing in the 90th minute before McGlynn had the last chance of the game, but he hits it right to Takolka. As in the end, Vancouver, like I said, they needed this one. They have not been playing well recently compared to what they have for the majority of the season. But the shots in this one, 14 shots for the 13 that Houston had, 7 shots on goal for the 2 that the Dynamo has, 3 shots off target for the 7 that Houston has, 3 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession the Whitecaps has in this game. And like I said, big one for the Whitecaps now. Once again, has a chance to try to get themselves at the top spot again. And for the Dynamo, yeah, it feels like that 4-3 win that they had against San Diego a couple of games ago, that feels like it's a huge outlier because, yeah, things have not been going well for Ben Olsen side again. Things are turning south for Ben Olsen's side again. Now, moving on into the next match. Oh boy, what a meltdown this was. So, I mean, you kind of had a sense that this was coming with the way that, in the last game for the Sounders, they had a 3-0 lead in the game, and then they really let Sporting KC back in the game and almost blew that 3-0 lead. In fact, if that game would have went a little longer, I think the Sounders probably would have blown the 3-0 lead. Well, they don't have the luxury in this one. And it also doesn't help the fact that they gave up 2 penalties in quick succession, and then the rest is pretty much history in this one. Now, in the first half, Rusnak would put it wide from long range before Stefan would deny from close range. While Seattle was on the front foot early on, they were looking to try to get the opening goal. The first shot for the Rapids did see Bassett puts it over from long range, but then in the 15th minute, Seattle takes the lead. It's Ober Vargas. He scored from Rusnak and Rothrock to make it 1-0 in favor of the Sounders. So Vargas, of course, got picked by the All-Star, and he immediately paid dividends and show why he deserved to be picked as the All-Star. As yeah, he made it 1-0 in favor of the Sounders. Though it was a pretty fortunate goal. I mean, it took a wicked deflection there that Stefan just got completely wrong-footed. There was no chance he was gonna readjust himself to goes in. But nevertheless, the Sounders gets the 1-0 lead. Deserved 1-0 lead considering I thought they were the better team early on. Kutibiacho did look to answer, but it also took a wicked deflection and goes wide. So imagine we have a game where where the first 2 goals of the game comes off of wicked deflection. Yeah, it's about to get even more crazier than just talk about wicked deflection. Vargas was then in on goal there, but this time he was robbed by Stefan on a 1v1 opportunity. But then it falls kindly right back to Muswaski, but he puts that one over before Fiera would hits one right to Stefan in the 32nd minute. Kudievicho then hits it right to Thomas, and then Thomas denied Roland on full stretch as both of these teams was kind of exchanging some possession. I thought Rapids started to press to try to get the equalizer. As I said that, Rusnak would miss an absolute sitter from point blank. Yeah, that is one you usually do not see Albert Rusnak miss very often, and I immediately wrote that is definitely one that he want back. The good news is he immediately redeemed himself just 1 minute later because as soon as I wrote that, he would score here to make it 2-0 in favor of the Sounders and redemption goal there. But yeah, this is one that Stefan would not want to look back. I mean, he tried to clear this ball away. He was way off his lines to clear the ball away. And I feel like when you're a goalkeeper and you're way off his lines to try to clear the ball away, you either need to just clear this one out of bounds or you just got to clear it in a way where your teammate will have a chance to try to win the header. Because if your teammate doesn't win the header and if the opposition win the header, then all of a sudden you just leave the goal aping. And in this case, the Rapids didn't win that initial header. The Sounders win it, and heads-up play by Rusnak. You realize that Stefan was way off his lines when he's trying to clear this one away, and yeah, that is definitely not a moment that Zach Steffen will want to remember. He's been very good ever since he's coming back from the Rapids through injuries and really for majority of this season. But that is one that yeah will not go into his resume in terms of him having a relatively good season. So yeah, that made it 2-0. Nuhu or not Nuhu, I'm sorry. Navarro would look to response. Nuhu obviously didn't play in this one because he's still suspended after some discipline action he did a couple of games ago. But Navarro did look to response, but he hits it right to Thomas before Maswowski was in on goal again. But yeah, Maswowski is kind of one of those guys that has had his issue when it comes to finishing, and he hits the side netting in the second minute of stoppage time. But we do head to halftime with the Sounders leading 2-0, and in the second half, they waste no time to make it 3-0. As Albert Rusnak would score for the second time this game from Muswowski to make it 3-0. It's over, right? Sounders have a 3-0 lead. I mean, surely they cannot blow this 3-0 lead like they did against Sporting KC, or at least almost did against Sporting KC, right? Right? Well, in the 49th minute, a penalty was given to the Rapids as Navarro was brought down by Rodon in the box. So here comes Georgi Mihailovic, a chance to try to bury it. And keep in mind, even though the Rapids have won the most penalty in the league by any team this season, they have struggled from the spot. They're only 6 for 9 when it comes to the spot, but this is now 7 for 10 because Mihailovic buries the penalty to make it 3-1 in favor of the Sounders. And then literally just a moment later, after the penalty was taken, another penalty was given to the Rapids. So this time it's Thomas, the one that brought down Navarro in the box. So here comes Cole Bassett, the one that takes the penalty. This was an interesting choice because I would assume Mihailovic would take the second penalty, but I guess they decided to give it to Cole Bassett because Mihailovic, he hasn't been convincing taking penalties this season. Same with Navarro as well. He's been also doing penalty takers. So they thought that, what, let's give it to Cole Bassett because, he's been struggling in front of goal. You really want him to get going. Though it is a high risk, high reward situation. It's a high risk because, with him struggling to score goals, you never know if his finishing would be good from the spot. But it can also be a high reward because a goal can really do his confidence. And the high reward was the success rate for the Rapids in that penalty spot because Bassett buries it. One looked very comfortable when he buries that one. And just like that, it's 3-2 in favor of the Sounders. And I immediately wrote, uh-oh, epic meltdown incoming for the Sounders again because we saw this happen against Sporting KC. And unlike where against Sporting KC, at least they had the luxury of the fact that did give up that second goal really late in the game and didn't really give Sporting KC a lot of chance late in this one to try to come back from this one. We still have 47 minutes left in this one. Or actually, I'm sorry, not 47 minutes, but 37 minutes left in this one. But it's pretty much 47 minutes because a little spoiler, huh? We get 10 minutes of stoppage time in this one, and I'm just thinking, oh boy, this is happening again for the Sounders, right? Now, that being said, the fans were not happy in terms of some of the penalty that is being given, so they immediately told the referee that he sucked. It wouldn't be the first time that would happen in this game. Thomas would then deny Cannon from close range. The momentum is completely with Colorado. Seattle just completely rattle, and they look like they're falling apart after those two penalty kick that is given. And I don't blame them because I mean it's very rare you see two penalty kick that is given in the span of just two minutes. Kudibietro then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. The ref was told that he sucked again because yeah, they think he was not doing a very good job in this game, and it was louder too as well. Navarro would then hits it right to Thomas in the 72nd minute, but then the 75th minute, I think everyone saw this coming. I mean, Colorado was pushing hard to get this third goal, and they got it in the 75th minute as Darren Yappy would score from Mihailovic and Navarro to tie the game up at 3 apiece. The referee was told he sucked again because if he didn't get the memo in the first time, yeah, now he get it for the third time in this game. This was probably the game that has the most ref you suck chant I've seen in an MLS game so far. There's been more of that. It's really kind of feel like I'm watching a hockey game with the amount of ref you suck chant that I've been hearing, especially from NHL games. But anyway, in the 89th minute, Vargas would hits one that goes right to Stefan. We get 10 minutes of stoppage time because, like I said, this game would clear MLS After Dark energy. You know that there's gonna have to be multiple minutes of stoppage because of that. But unfortunately, we didn't really have a lot of drama at least in the 10 minutes of stoppage time. Not really a lot of chances by either of these teams. But in the end, The Colorado Rapids, I think they're the first team in MLS history to blow a 3-0 lead in the same season of them coming back from a 3-0 lead. This has been a very strange MLS season where we also saw Chicago give up 7 goals in a game and then they score seven of them all in one game. And yeah, I mean, that's just how it is this season. And just kind of once again shows you why this midweek action was just so chaotic. There was just some things that you just don't see every single day in a soccer match. Although that maybe is kind of normal because this is a league that definitely brings some entertainment and also some really just wacky kind of stuff that we see throughout the regular season. The shots in this one, 16 shots for the 14 of the Rapids had, 9 shots on goal for the 8 that the Sounders had, 5 shots off target for the 1 that the Rapids had. Both teams had 3 shots on his block and possession wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession the Rapids has in this one. There is no doubt that the Rapids will feel like this is all 3 points, even though they got a point out of this game. At least that they will feel like that is the case. But for the Sounders, this will absolutely feel like a loss. And again, we saw this coming. Like after the last game that they had where they almost blew a 3-0 lead, you just cannot do that again. If you do it again, especially in an epic way like this, no wonder why the meltdown would happen. And now Brian Schmidt decides they gotta get themselves back going again in terms of this weekend matchup because they are about to play against a team that they have not done very well, and that, of course, is the San Jose Earthquakes. So, as I said that, moving on into the next match that I'll talk about, and talking about the Quakes now that is. Yeah, the Quakes, one thing I will say is that yeah, things have definitely not gone well for the Quakes at least in the last couple of games that is, and things continue to not go well for this team. They do not get a win in this one against FC Dallas. I mean, in a way, I will say that this is a game that it's one of those games where I don't think neither of these teams will be very happy with the outcome of this game. Now, in the first half, Espinoza had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. The Quakes were definitely on the front foot as they were looking to try to get the opening goal, though the shots were only 1-0, 15 minutes up to this point. The first shot for Dallas did see Daniel deny Mungo from close range. But then, the 23rd minute, Ian Hartz would score. He scored from Martinez on Rodriguez to make it 1-0 in favor of the Quakes, and it was an absolute banger and a half there from Ian Hartz, something that we usually don't see him score. I didn't think he has that in his repertoire, but nevertheless, the Quakes were up 1-0. And then in the 30th minute, Vitor Costa had to be stretcher off, and this was a double whammy because not only he had to be stretcher off because he injured himself after he made that challenge on Shaq Moore, but because he committed that foul while got injured himself in the process, he gets a yellow card as a result. So yeah, that's kind of a double whammy there. Not only you suffer an injury, you have to be stretched off, but you have to eat up a yellow card as a result. In the 34th minute, Daniel would rob Ibiaga from a point blank header on the ensuing free kick. That won't be the last time we would see that happen in this game. Before Kaike would miss way wide from long range. But then in the third minute of stoppage time, just as we thought maybe the Quakes were going to head to halftime with a 1-0 lead, Pedro Musa scored. So he scored to make it 1-1 in this one. Delgado actually hits the post here, but it falls right into the path of Pedro from Musa, and yeah, he's not going to be missing those kind of chances. So that ties the game up at one apiece. And in some way, I kind of saw it coming. I mean, Dallas started to really pick up the momentum near the end of the first half. The Quakes really dropped their intensity, and that would also kind of be the theme in the second half as well. Because as we head to the second half, with the score being 1-1, early on the Quakes were looking better. Looking like they're going to retake the lead. There was a shout for a penalty for the Quakes not given, just like the first half. The Quakes started the second half pretty well and looking to try to get the lead back. Arango would curls it wide from long range before he missed wide from the free kick in the 57th minute. Mungo then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. And then in the 64th minute, Daniel would rob Ibiaga again from close range. So yeah, Ibiaga is gonna have nightmares about Daniel there. But like I said, just like the first half, the Quakes really dropped their intensity after a promising start. Dallas was now really pushing to try to get the lead in this one. Mungo then had a shot that clipped the post before Espinoza had a free kick that goes over. Obumka almost scored an own goal here, but he was saved by the post. So this was kind of like a backwards header that he kind of got wrong, but very fortunate that the post saved him. But I also thought that the games really started to got up for grabs. Both of these teams were exchanging some chances, looking to try to find the clinical second goal. We then have some coming together after Dallas delayed the Quakes of taking the free kick. The Quakes were trying to go quickly on the free kick, but Dallas didn't want to have that. So yeah, Quakes players definitely not, were not happy about that moment. Judd would then hits it high from close in the 83rd minute, but then in the 84th minute, Dallas takes the lead, and it's Pedro Musa again. This time he scored from Benedy and Farrington to make it 2-1 in this one. That lead only lasted 2 minutes because literally on the other end from the kickoff, Joseph Martinez would score from Scan to tie the game up at two apiece. Now there is a bit controversy surrounding this goal, and I can understand why Dallas fans maybe are very upset about this goal that was given because when I look on the replay, it definitely looked like when Jack Scan crossed that ball in, that ball looked like it went out of play, and I was very surprised that they decided not to go to VAR to look at it because it was very close. If anything, when I look at it a couple of times, it definitely looked like it crossed the line, and that goal probably should have been chopped off. And again, this won't be the last time we'll talk about some controversy because there was some controversy in this game as well too. I mean, it was a pretty rough week when it comes to some very questionable refereeing decision by Pro, but nevertheless, maybe the Quakes got away with that one there. The game was tied up at two apiece. Scan himself looked to try to get another and try to get the lead back for the Quakes, but he missed this one wide before Rodriguez would head it wide on a free header there in the first minute of stoppage time. The Quakes were definitely pressing hard to try to get the win, but then there's another bizarre situation in the 7 minute of stoppage time where on a free kick that Espinoza hits, it actually hits the wall, but then as the Quakes were about to attack again because they got the ball after it hits the wall there, the referee blew the whistle and they decided to kind of almost check by VAR to see whether or not if Farrington, did he actually handballed it. And when I look on the replay, it definitely looked like Farrington handballed it. It looked like his arms was kind of hitting toward the ball there. Now it wasn't really just outstretched or in a unnatural position. But when he kind of just trying to lift his arm and almost purposely hit the ball like that, that's a handball, and that was in the box too. So yeah, I feel like that probably should have been a penalty for the Quakes, but apparently they said that that's fair play. And then what's even more bizarre is they blew the full time whistle after that. So basically, that's what that's is going to be something that's going to frustrate Quakes fans and kind of frustrates me too because I'm like, so you blow the whistle on a play where you check VAR to see for sure that was a penalty, but then you blow the full time whistle and not allow a restart even though the Quakes are on the attacking end. I mean, it just feels like that was kind of like a do or die play, whether if they of course are going to say it's a penalty or not, and it shouldn't be because the Quakes were on the attacking play. You can always go back to try to look at VAR to see whether or not if it's a handball or not after the end of the play. I mean, the only time where I see referee decide to blow the play dead on an attacking sequence is that they know for sure that it is a penalty. And again, in that play, I thought they might have known for sure that of course is going to be a handball and it should be a penalty for the Quakes, but it wasn't. And again, that is going to be something that will frustrate Quakes fans. Though again, I guess maybe that kind of evens out in terms of the scan moment where that probably should that goal by Martinez shouldn't have count because it looked like all went out of play before scan put it into the box. Either way, just a lot of messy refereeing that happened in this one. Again, overall this weekend there was some really bad refereeing and some controversial call throughout the week. But in the end, it ends in a 2-2 draw on this one. I think overall the result is kind of fair. Both of these teams had their moments. Neither of these side able to get the win. Shots in this one, 13 shots for the 12 that Dallas had. 3 shots on goal for the 5 that Dallas had. 4 shots off target for the 7 that the Quakes had. 3 shots on blocked for the 2 that Dallas had. And possession-wise, 60% compared to 40% possession that Dallas has in this one. Neither of these sides is going to be happy with this draw for Dallas. Even though their losing run has come to an end, they're unbeaten, or their winless run continues after this game as well. Especially they had a chance to end the losing run and the winless run after getting that second goal. It looked like they were on their way of getting a big 3 points, only to concede straight away on the other end. And for the Quakes, it's not going to be a great resort either because the winless run continue and the amount of points that they've dropped at home this season, this is going to come back to haunt them when playoff time is about to or when crunch time is about to happen to decide playoff race, because right now, as we're speaking, the Rays are outside the playoffs spot. They've been spending most of this year in the playoff spot because of the bad run of form that they've been in, and the fact that they haven't got a win in quite some while. Yeah, this is definitely concerning. You got to say for a team, and it would be very disappointing if they don't make it, because for the most part, I know there's an improvement compared to last season. But consider how they've been playing, and the fact that they've been playing well. It's almost the same case I said about Chicago, where they've been playing well for the majority of the season, but they just have not had these kind of games where they give up goals because of bad defensive play, because of the way that their defense still really suck, and now that the goal scoring is not really carrying the bad defense and mitigating that's why you're seeing the Quakes dropping a lot of points recently. Now, moving on into the last game on this board is San Diego and Toronto FC. So obviously San Diego will be very upset in terms of a blown call that happened late in this one, but at the same time, I mean, I've said this before, Toronto, this is a team that is a very gritty team, and it is a team that is going to really make you work and make your life hard to try to break them down. And in this game, they play a perfect road game in this one. They pretty much just shut down this high power San Diego side for pretty much almost the entire 90 minutes, albeit, yes, we'll definitely get to the controversial penalty kick call in this one as well. Now, in the first 15 minutes, yeah, not much really happened. And this was also another game where if you're a neutral watching this one, I send my condolences, because there was not really much that happened in this one either. So a penalty was given to Toronto after VAR deemed that Corbeanu was brought down by Negri in the box. And this was the right call. It was pretty clear that Negri brought down Corbeanu in the box. So Corbeanu won the penalty. He took the penalty, and he buries it to make it 1-0 in favor of TFC. Toronto, I also thought that they were not backing down. They were still trying to dictate the plays, while San Diego, again, they just look really flat coming out of the game. I don't know if they might have took Toronto lightly in this one. They thought that this was going to be an easy 3 points against a lowly TFC side. But like I said, I warn every team that plays against Toronto. This is not the Santa Claus of MLS anymore. This is a team that under Robin Fraser, they have really improved. And really been playing well ever since the two Italians depart from the team. And one of the things that makes them done so well in the last couple of games is that they are a very disciplined defense. They are a team that is really hard to break down. In San Diego, again, found out the hard way. There was a shout for a penalty for San Diego, not given, but we do head to halftime with TFC leading 1-0. In the second half, San Diego continue to have more of the possession, but just no way breaking down this very rigid TFC defense. There's no room for them to break them down. Dwyer would miss wide from long range in the 55th minute. This was a very quiet game for Anders Dwyer. Probably one of the worst games that he played, not the worst game that he played this season, because he's been so influential with the goal scoring and assist chart. But TFC did a good job shutting him down throughout the game. Corbeanu would then puts it wide from close in the 59th minute. The shots were still 3-2 60 minutes in. Yeah, like I said, TFC was just making this game boring, and I don't blame them for that, because when you're the road team and you don't have a lot of talent, and you a team that likes to frustrate the opponent, they don't care if they're gonna make things boring. They don't care if this is not entertaining for opponent to see. They want to fight and scrap to get a massive 3 points in this one. The possession now was almost 70-30 for San Diego, but again, they still just cannot quite break down this low block TFC defense. You kind of had a sense that frustration was starting to boil in the San Diego team. They just no way they can break down. It's the same problem I would say that Minnesota has with LAFC, where it's almost like they ran out of ideas of how to deal with a low block defense. Lozano would then hits one right to Johnson in the 71st minute. And another thing I would also say is this game kind of mirrors a little bit similar to what we saw when San Diego played St. Louis in that first ever game when I was there to watch the game, where it just feels like San Diego just kind of ran out of idea to how to break down a really low block, and just almost like a park the bus kind of terrorism ball or murder your ball kind of style that TFC was playing throughout this game. Then we get to the controversy of this game. So late in this game, there was a huge shout for a penalty, because it looked like Quajo handballed this one with an extended arm. I believe they actually go to VAR to play, if I remember, but they said no penalty was given to San Diego. Now, the only thing I can think of is the reason why this is not a penalty was there was an offside call that was being made, and I think there was definitely a case that there could have been an offside, that is. But if there was an offside that was made, wouldn't that be a direct free kick for TFC instead of just a drop ball here? Either way, it was just very confusing, and it's also worthy to note that the referee in this game was in charge for the very first time in an MLS game, and you can clearly see the inexperience by her. She definitely didn't look comfortable in this one. And yeah, again, that is one that is very confusing to see, because if there is no offside in this play, then this is the wrong call. This is absolutely should have been a handball. You can clearly see Quajo he handballed it with an extent that aren't whatsoever. That's going to be a penalty being called every single day. And again, San Diego, they will be very upset about this call, and they have every right to do so, because if it wasn't for offside, as they said before, or there's a speculation that that is the case, then this is another blown call, something that we have seen a lot this this season. But nevertheless, in the end, Toronto does walk away with a 1-0 win, and the shots in this one, yeah, not a lot of shots in this one. I mean, if you thought the Minnesota LAFC game have low shots, I mean, this one, there's only 12 shots for both of these teams, 7 shots compared to the 5 that TFC had, 2 shots on goal for the 1 that San Diego has. Both teams had 1 shots off target. There was virtually only 4 shots in total that was not, or actually no, I'm sorry, there was actually 5 shots that was off, both on goal and off target throughout this game that is not blocked. That just shows you how little chance that we had in this one. 5 shots that was blocked for the 1 that TFC had, and possession wise, 66% possession compared to 34% possession that TFC has in this game. And again, like I said, TFC they will be very upset about this game, or not. I'm sorry, not TFC. San Diego will be very upset in terms of this. We're so deep. We're almost there. We are almost there at the end. I'm starting to kind of make a mistake because I am getting a little tired in terms of doing an hour and a half long review. But yeah, San Diego, of course, obviously they will be very upset with this call that goes against them. But overall, I just don't think they play well in this game whatsoever. Again, it just feels very similar to the St. Louis game, where they just had no idea how to break down a low block team. And that's kind of interesting, because we've seen teams try to do this again in San Diego, and for the most part, San Diego is able to figure it out. But this game is just one of those games where I said before, even some of the best team are going to have the off night, and some of these big name players, some of these star players like Dreyer and Lozano, just they were a non-factor in this one. And I know some people will say, if Velosky was still in this, maybe he would have made it different. And I think he probably could have, but you know, throughout this game, there wasn't really a lot of chance that was provided. So even if you give the ball to Alosky, it's gonna be hard to do so when the creative player in this game for San Diego was all off in this one. Now, that being said, I am now finally going to switch for one more time, and finally looking at the last 2 games to finish off this mega long review that is now almost an hour and a half long. So now moving on into the next game is the Timbers and RSL. So both of these teams are kind of heading the opposite direction. Whereas for RSL, they are definitely heading in the right direction, and now are well and truly in the playoff race after the last couple of games. Pablo Mastroeni's side has done very well and gone a bit of a winning streak. The Timbers are going the wrong way, and they have gone the wrong way ever since the restart from the Club World Cup break. They have lost 3 of their last 4 games, and this is one of those again against RSL. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game, C. Furry hits it wide from the corner, as the shots were only 1-0 for the Timbers early on, and this despite the fact that the Timbers had most of the possession and RSL was just happy to sit back. Again, I guess RSL realized that, well, the Timbers are very dangerous when they go on the transition, so how about we just give them all the possession and make it tough for them to try to break things down. One thing I also noticed in some of these games and some of the themes I've seen in some of these games is that when teams are trying to bunker down and trying to make life tough against the host to try to break them down, a lot of these teams have struggled to do so, and that's kind of the reason why I think we saw a lot of teams were able to win on the road, because the perfect road game strategy is you're going to not going to have a lot of the ball. You're just going to trying to be patient and sit deep and maybe look for the transitional moment. And in some of these games, there was the case, and also look for those set piece chances, as we saw in the last game. The difference was the penalty from Toronto FC. But in the 23rd minute, Agata we missed it over from close before Luna puts it high from long range in the 28th minute. RSL definitely to get some half chances. But overall, neither of these keeper would really trouble. And the shots were still only 4-2 for RSL up to this point. Cabral would then deny Kelsey, as that was by far the best chance for of the game so far. It was not really an entertaining game in this one. Either Gonzalez, two. Oh, sorry, excuse me about that. Gonzalez would then puts wide from close, as I thought the game started to open up just a bit. Furry would then puts it high from close in the third minute of stoppage time, but we do head to halftime with RSL and the Timbers tie at 0-0. Now, in the second half, Crepeau would deny Agata from close range. There was a couple of half chances for both of these teams, but neither really troubled the keeper. And actually, I'm going to just pause a little bit. I gotta blow my nose a little bit. My nose is really starting to tingle up. That's why I sneeze there. But anyway, Crepeau denied Agata from close in the 46th minute. There was a couple of half chances for both of these teams, but not really trouble either. The goalkeeper, Gonzalez would then hits it right to Crepeau from long range before Luna would put it wide from close as RSL. Oh, oh man, I'm starting getting the allergies now. Creating chances to look for the opener. We're almost done with this review. Miller would then heads it wide from close, but then in the in the 83rd minute, Gonzalez would get the opener. He scored from Priol to make it 1-0 in favor of RSL. And actually, it's is it Priol or Pio? It's Pio. That's how you pronounce it. But either way, that made it 1-0 in favor of RSL. Miller would then puts it over from close range before Paredes would heads it over from close, as RSL was definitely starting to hold on for dear life a little bit. Timbers were pressing hard to try to get the late equalizer, but in the end, RSL they hold on to get the 1-0 win in this one. As the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 10 that the Timbers had, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Timbers had, 6 shots off target compared to 5 that RSL had, 3 shots that was blocked to the 1 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that the Timbers has in this game. And like I said, throughout this game, I thought RSL did a very good job defensively, but for the Portland Timbers, it's the same issue that I talked about with San Diego and also with Minnesota early on. They just cannot quite do well in terms of finding some space against a RSL team that defended really well throughout the season, and it's another example of a team that play a really good road game and execute the plan, and as a result, they get the win here and get themselves with it in right in the thick of the playoff race right now. Whereas the Timbers, like I said, they're going the wrong way. I mean, of the last 4 games that they've lost ever since the restart, and for Phil Neville's side, they got to figure this out. I mean, this is and this is also kind of in some ways started to fit the narrative again with Phil Neville sides, where when they're hot, they're definitely doing well, but when they are not hot and they're not doing well, yeah, it's definitely brutal to see. Now, moving on finally to this last game, and I gotta try to do this quickly too because my allergies are really starting to act up now. Thank God it's actually acting up near the end of this review and not right in the middle of the review that is. But for the last game that we're gonna talk about in this mega review is Austin and the Galaxy. So for those that are still thinking that the Galaxy have any chance of making the playoffs, and I know some Galaxy fans will say, well, we've been on a great run of form, and we've been winning a couple more of our games. I mean, yes, we're still very far away from the playoffs, but surely if we continue this form, where are we going to be right in the thick of things, right? Nope. This game pretty much proved that they're done in terms of their chances. I mean, if there's even maybe a slimmer hope that they have, this game pretty much just shunter it, because really, if the only way I can see the Galaxy get themselves back into the playoff race and really get themselves even close to be making it the playoffs is that they have to be perfect for the rest of the season. They cannot afford to drop any points for the rest of the season. And in this game, they not only drop points, but they got nothing out of this game. Now, early on, not much happened in the first 15 minutes of this game. There was no shots in the first 15 minutes as well. The first shot of the game did see Wolf hits it right to Mikovic after a turnover there from the Galaxy. Nascimento then have a back heel that actually goes wide, as that was the Galaxy first shot before Payne. So we're closing wide from close to the 26th minute. I thought the Galaxy would start to look better and look to try to get the opening goal. So Rubio would puts it high from long range in the 33rd minute, but then in the 40th minute, guess what? Murto Ozuni scored. He scored from Rubio in hindsight to make it 1-0 in favor of Austin. The drought is finally over. After 22 games since Ozuni has last scored a goal for Austin, he finally broke the duck. And it's also a moment that Austin fans has been waiting for. I mean, this is the thing that has to be good news for Austin fans because, as I said before, Uzuni has to step up for this Austin side. He's pretty much virtually the replacement for Vasquez here. And again, it just never really makes sense that Vasquez and Uzuni kind of plays in the same starting 11 because both of them pretty much plays the same style. But now that Vasquez is done for the season, Uzuni is pretty much the replacement, and he needs to finally show that yeah, he is definitely the guy to put in the goals, and really the whole reason why he hasn't been putting in the goals is because he hasn't played in the wrong position that he usually be, and this is definitely good news. The fact that he finally buries it, and Austin fans are really hoping this is the first of many that he's gonna score for this team. Peck did look to answer in the third minute stoppage time, but it was denied by Stuver. But we do head to halftime with Austin leading 1-0. In the second half, Peck would had a shot that was deflected it then hits the post. Uzuni would then hits it right to Makovic in the 51st minute before Peck would puts it wide from close, and then Stuver would deny Peck from close in the 55th minute. Galaxy once again started well in the second half. They were pressing to try to get the equalizer, but instead it's Austin the one that doubles their lead. It's Owen Wolf. He scored from Uzuni to make it 2-0 in favor of Austin. So what a night for Uzuni. Probably one of his best night with the Verdes in this one getting the goal and the assist. But yeah, this is one that for the Galaxy we've seen this before of them self-inflicted mistake here, just a mix-up at the back here. I think Mikovic was ready to get this, but for inexplicably Yoshida actually kind of knocked the ball right into away from his own goalkeeper. Just a mix-up there at the back, and then Uzuni pounce on it. He plays it right to Wolf. Wolf basically hits it into the empty net, and just like that, it's a 2-0 lead for Austin, and kind of in some way against the run of play because Austin really weren't in this second half for the most part. Peck did look to answer again, but he missed wide before he missed wide from long range in the 68th minute. Just feels like it's one of those nights again for the Galaxy of and they're giving the chances to try to get themselves into the game, but they're just not taking it. And the same case for Gabriel Peck. It feels like it's one of the many times we've seen this season where he's just not allowed to score a goal this year. Royce would then puts it over from long range before Peck would puts it high from the free kick, but then a penalty was given to the Galaxy after Dessler brought down Painso in the box. I thought it was a very soft penalty. I didn't think that was going to be called, but nevertheless, it was given. Painso won the penalty. He takes the penalties here, and he buries it to make this interesting. Bukari then looked to try to end it, but he was denied by Mikovic. And then also I didn't write this late, but Painto actually had a chance late in this one to try to tie it up. But Stuver made a big save on the curling shot there. I mean, Brad Stuver has single-handedly saving Austin's season. I mean, how many times that he has been stealing points left and right, even going back to the Open Cup quarterfinal game against the San Jose Earthquakes. He was really the reason why they made it to the semifinal. But nevertheless, Austin gets the big win in this one. They stay above the red line as a result of this. Shots in this one, 7 shots for the 15 that the Galaxy had, 4 shots on goal for the 5 that Austin had, 1 shots off target for the 7 that the Galaxy had, 4 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Austin had, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that Austin has in this game. And like I said, for the Galaxy, they're done. They're not coming back. There's no chance that I think they have any shot in terms of making the playoffs. It's all about just playing for pride for the rest of the season and really just kind of almost go through a little bit of a retool to see how they can get themselves back to where they were last season. I mean, in some way, Ricky Pooch will definitely help solve that once he does come back. But I do think that yes, Ricky Pooch will definitely make this team much better. But they definitely need some more depth and maybe need some replacement in terms of the midfield as well. Because whatever they're doing in terms of trying to do the midfield, or actually not the midfield, I'm sorry, the defense. That's what I meant. Whatever they're chucking out in the defensive area, it has not worked whatsoever. Their defense has regressed back to your typical Galaxy defense that is just kind of a revolving door and give up some of the most goals in MLS this season. And yeah, and then that's also not to forget about the goalkeeping position as well. I mean, it's not just the defense. The goalkeeping position has been a problem this season as well. Both Mikovic and McCarthy, both of these goalkeeper has not looked good for this Galaxy team throughout the season. But there you have it. Finally, this mega review is done in the books. And like I said, as a reminder, if you made it this far, whether if you decide to make it all the way through this video, or the fact that you of course kind of skip through some part, which again I have no problem with people skipping parts, because I don't expect people to watch this review that is an hour and 40 minutes. But yeah, thank you for watching this mega review. I'll probably won't do another one of this. And again, the big reason why I did have to do one of this is because I just weren't able to do it yesterday. I ran out of time in terms of trying to split the review into two parts after I spent a lot of hours just trying to get this new internet that I have got going. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure guys you like, smash the subscribe button. Tomorrow I'm gonna actually do the preview, that is, because again, for the third straight week, we're not going to have a matinee games that's going to be happening on Saturday. It feels like we're going back to where we were last season, or the season prior, where a lot of people complain about how there's just too many game bunch up all at once, and it feels like it's going to be the case once again this week. All these games is going to be happening on Saturday. There's not even going to be a Sunday game that is going to happen this weekend's action. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure guys you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.